Okay, here we have Dev Kosak, lead narrative designer. Is
lead narrative designer, that's right.
Yeah, you lost the part of your job to...
Yeah, actually, so I was lead quest designer for Mist of Pandaria, and that job was so big, we split it into 2 jobs. So we have a new lead quest designer, his name's Craig Amai, he's very, very good. And I'm now the lead narrative designer, and so I'm gonna really focus on story while Craig manages the team, and we should be able to create a lot of great stuff this way.
That's really great, cause Warlords of Draenor, there are a lot story questions, so... Yeah, but I would like to start with a question that yeah, really everybody needs to know. The beta for this game. Do you have wait really long or possible this year?
Yeah, we're not really able to really talk about dates yet because we're not sure. One of the values on the World of Warcraft team is we're trying to come out with content faster and faster. So you saw with Mist of Pandaria, we were able to keep a pretty aggressive patch schedule and really have the story play out, and every couple of months have a patch. We've been growing the team, so we'd like to get you guys to Draenor really soon, but I don't really know when we'll have a beta ready. Yeah, we're working hard though.
But patch 5.5 will don't happen.
There will be a game event to kind of set up Warlords of Draenor, so we'll have stuff going on in the game. But that will probably be pretty close to the release of Warlords of Draenor. So there won't be some extra raid or anything thrown in there. We're gonna be full steam ahead toward Draenor.
So no major content patch like, okay, it's not major, but Halion back in Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah, you know what? We've talked about that, and the problem is anytime we're putting resources toward that, it's just taking away from Draenor. It's just making extra time before the next expansion comes out. So we really want to focus on the next expansion.
Okay, let's go back to lore.
Okay.
Garrosh has a mystical friend. I don't know him yet, but...
so chances are you've met his friend on the Timeless Isle. You've seen him, and yeah, his friend has some kind of interesting ideas for how to use time. Yeah.
My guess is Vanion, but yeah, we'll see. When you will reveal this friend? In the beginning of the expansion or later?
In the sort of pre-expansion events, we're going to find out a little more about what happened, and that'll lead us right into the expansion.
Okay. Then there are some persons, they lived in the time back on Draenor and also on Azeroth.
Right.
The most popular one is, I think, Waylon.
Yep.
And we saw him already in this little movie. And my question is, which Waylon is it?
Right.
We meet
that's a good question. And so actually, to back up a little bit, we definitely wanted to explore Draenor in the past, but we didn't want to do a time travel expansion. Like we didn't want it to be about the time travel. We wanted it to be about Draenor. So as much as possible, we don't really, we're not doing a story about time paradox or anything like that. We're really doing a story about Draenor. So. Well, we're going to try as much as possible not to have, you know, the Velen from Azeroth meet Velen from the other. It gets really confusing, and like we say, timey-wimey is what we say. We don't like that. So the Velen that you saw in the movie and the Velen that we're going to be working with, he's the Velen from Draenor, and he is really focused on this moment and his people at this time, and we think that's the most interesting angle on it.
Okay, I asked myself the question, what happens if two same person come together, explode the whole universe, or... Yeah, will there be other characters? I think Zalfang, the old one, must be...
Yeah, we're still talking about that, and one thing is, you know, the more characters we meet that exist in both worlds, the weirder it seems, so we really want to pick and choose characters that we want to tell stories about, so, you know, we really want to focus on people that, you know, we haven't been able to see. Like Thrall's parents. Thrall has never met his parents, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how he relates to them or what happens there. Those are the kind of stories that we're really, really invested in.
Okay. Yeah, it would be really weird if there's also a little Thrall and the old one has the little one, but
yeah, exactly.
Oh my God,
yeah. And you know, exactly. We can make it as weird as we want, but we don't want to make it weird. We want to keep it really focused on Draenor. I encourage people to think about it as a place as opposed to a time. You're going to go to Draenor and we're going to have this adventure. We don't have to worry about the history of Azeroth or screwing anything up, and then we get to come back home.
Okay, I read somewhere that Khadgar make an appearance in this expansion.
Absolutely.
He is not on Draenor. He comes from Outland and goes to the new Draenor.
So we'll see a little bit of Khadgar, and he'll actually be the Khadgar that we know and love, that we met from Outland. He's going to realize that something is up. He's going to come to Azeroth and warn us that something is happening with the portal.
He feels this time thing.
And so he's going to be able to accompany us on this adventure.
Okay. Let's go back from lore to a little of your old quest profession. I think it would be very cool if there would be like some events like the AQ event for guilds, so that the guild must come together and get ready for build up a tower or gather something, and would it be possible for the future?
We've talked about it, but we don't have any plans to do it in Draenor. I think that one thing you'll see is that because you can specialize your garrison, you're probably going to work together with your guild to build different specialized garrisons so that you kind of all have access to all the different things that garrisons can do. So I think in that respect, you'll be working together with your guild. But we don't have any special features for like guild quests, not yet. But we've been talking about it, but we're not really planning to do that on Draenor right now. One thing that I think is going to really help guilds, though, is the flexible mode rating. I think is a huge boon to guilds, and even in patch 5.4, I've already seen it with my own guild. We're able to grow our roster, and we're able to have we're able to do more things with the raid just because we have the options of bringing in extra people, and so I think that's going to be a big change. It's going to really help guilds grow and stick together.
Yes. Okay. This event leading to the events in Warlords of Draenor. We're seeing this in a future patch right before the release of
That's the plan right now, yep.
Can you say us a little bit more? Will there be, on the Timeless Isle there is the scene with Anduin going to the prison of Garrosh. Is he related to Set Free Garrosh?
Boy, there's some... I can't really say without spoiling things, but that's a hint. That's definitely a hint at what's up. The patch will tell us a little more. We'll see a little more about that. Yeah.
I hope you're not letting get Anduin angry like Jaina. He's getting white hair and with a blonde. Okay. The opening quest line, you said yesterday that it would be like the Death Knight quest chain.
Right.
You join in as a new Death Knight. Can you say a little bit more about this?
Sure. We want to have a nice little concise starting experience, and every player will go through it. So if you have an existing level 90, you'll go through the starting experience. And also, this is the experience that players will return to if they boost a character up to 90. We're going to drop them into this experience, and it's really focused on kind of almost a suicide mission where you're blasting through the dark portal and you're trying to shut it down from the inside, and so it's this really intense, maybe about an hour of content where you're really just right up against the Iron Horde trying to stop them. And ultimately, the result of that is you're going to have to, you haven't been able to wipe the Iron Horde out, but you're going to really need to plant some roots in Draenor. You're going to need to get some allies, be it the Draenei, or on the Horde side, they're going to ally with the Frostwolf Orc clan. Get some local allies, build up a base so that you can do a prolonged campaign. So a short experience, maybe about an hour long. We'll see how it pans out. But if you've boosted your character to level 90, we'll use that opportunity to help you reacquaint yourself with your class, or help you learn your class. So we won't give you all your abilities at once. We'll give you a core set of abilities, let you learn how to fight stuff, and then start to kind of layer on some other abilities. A little like a Death Knight, right, that you started out with. And that'll help people kind of catch up. We'll also go through the trouble of emptying your bags and getting rid of your old quests and all that sort of stuff. We'll give you gear so that you can jump right in and play. That's really important for us.
Is it possible to do this in a group or only as a single player?
It'll be it'll be a starting zone. It'll be a lot like the Death Knight experience. So you can group up if your friends are also in the area as well.
So not similar to the solo scenarios?
Yeah, no, it's not a solo scenario. It's definitely a part of the world.
You speak about the Horde and the Alliance, the different friends on Draenor. My question is, why don't they group up? Okay, Jaina is a little bit angry still.
Yeah. Jaina's still a loose cannon, kind of.
Yeah, she's weird. But yeah, so the Anduin had a good influence on Vanion. He drops the sword in the ground. So I ask myself, why don't they group together to burn the Iron Horde back?
That's a really good question. And now that there's a new war chief, maybe Vanion can work with Vol'jin. Maybe that'll happen throughout the expansion. No, that's something you'll have to see how closely the Alliance and Horde will work together. It's happened before. They teamed up against the Lich King, so Yeah.
Vol'jin has a human friend. I read about it in the book about Vol'jin.
Yeah.
Okay, let us see through the expansion. Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about solo scenarios before. I like them all the time.
Oh, cool. Okay, good. That's good to hear.
The Isle of Thunder. It was a great way to experience all this isle and
right, to really get a big event.
It's an event and it's lore and it's playthrough. It was fun. Cool. Will they come again? Or?
Yeah, the current plan, and this might change, but right now, we're building it this way. The current plan is that a couple key story moments in the questing you'll be able to do as a solo scenario. So you can have that big moment where the big epic thing happens, and it's just you against the world. We're definitely looking at doing that because we think there's some really cool stories you can tell in that kind of environment. Yeah.
And a good way to tell them. Another question is about Blood Elf Paladins. Similar to Khadgar, I read they will get a storyline or some attention in this.
We have a few storylines that we'll be able to plug into. We thought it would be really interesting because the Blood Elves, the Paladins, have such an interesting history with the Naru. Yeah. There was an opportunity to sort of revisit that and maybe kind of redeem them. So we'll see a little bit of that. Some Blood Elves are going to go through with us and then interact in this world, and we'll get to see that story. And there are some other hits as well. If you been following the dwarf race and sort of the uneasy alliance, the Council of Three Hammers, and not trusting the Dark Iron really, and then you saw in patch 5.3 the Dark Iron really stepped up to help the alliance and they really kind of show that they belong. We'll continue that a little bit. Some Dark Irons are going to go through the portal with us, so we have little stories like that that we're going to touch on throughout the expansion.
Yeah, in Upper Blackrock Spire, but in Blackrock Deeps. Once I met Moira at first, I don't like her, and of course in the prelude to Cataclysm in Christy Gold's book, she was not really likeable, but now she seems very interested in the alliance.
She's getting used to her role, and she's in a really hard position. She's her child is really important to the future of the dwarf clans. And actively the other two dwarf clans dislike her and will tell her to her face that they don't trust her. But somehow she's going to try and bring it together. She's ultimately sort of the whole future of dwarf kind of rests on her. So she's got to step up. I think she's a fascinating character. So we'll a little more with Moira in this expansion.
Okay. Let's talk about Garrosh. He lead us to this expansion and he brings us to Draenor. And you told us he will not be the main villain that would be really not cool.
Exactly.
Weird. Fight against him. Okay. But how long will we see Garrosh? Will we fight against him?
That's a good question, and I can't spoil it. He definitely gets things set in motion, and then things will kind of spin out of his control once he sets things in motion. But we'll see Garrosh for a while, and then ultimately get to find out what happens to him.
And his father believes him at first word that he is his son and comes from the future. Must be really weird to this orcish clans.
It's not. We haven't said whether or not Garrosh has told him he's his son. So, Grommash might not know,
But, it's interesting.
Interesting to think about,
one of our community, Okay, one of our community wants to know Lorewalker Cho. We know him very good in Mr. Pandaria, and some people like him, like Terrence Zoo. We will see him again in this expansion.
I love Lorewalker Cho. He's one of my favorite characters, and in many ways, by design, he was the voice of Pandaria. He's who you think about, but he doesn't really fit in outside of Pandaria. Yeah. So I would love to have a cameo with Lorewalker Cho, but he's definitely not gonna play a big part in this expansion, and he really is about Pandaria. So yeah,
it's great.
Great.
Yeah, thank you very much for this.
Thank you for coming. We are excited to finally talk about this expansion. It's going to be it's one of the big ones for us. So
okay,
great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.